So why is this important to us? Why would this be an important tactic? I think one of the things is that it's a new tactic. Word of mouth has always been around, but word of mouth marketing online is fairly new. I think one of the reasons that it is basically new and available today is that we have a lot more bandwidth as far as spreading messages online. We have more tools that spread messages online. We also have more tools available to track what people are saying. As I mentioned before, you can actually track natural language in blogs and in any other kinds of media that's online, newsletters. You can put that logic on top of a program, and it can actually find people who are talking about those issues. So major brand marketers today are moving from testing word-of-mouth marketing, which they were last year, to actually running campaigns fully integrated with their other marketing campaigns. So it's legitimized to some extent. The spending is going to reach $1 billion, they felt, in 2007, and that's a documented amount of money that people are spending on this particular type of marketing. More than 28 million moderately influential American internet users will be word-of-mouth market influencers next year, and that was obviously, again, a piece of statistics that came up recently. So, how do we integrate now word-of-mouth marketing with the traditional advertising? So word-of-mouth campaign generally generates more online buzz when supported by traditional media and paid media buys. So what we're trying to sort of emphasize is that this is a great way to bring in your old traditional advertising and integrate it with this new online buzz. So together you get a greater online media buzz. 64% of moderately influential influencers do online research after seeing or hearing a TV or radio ad, and only 30% react to a web ad. So TV and radio is still basically influenced or influences the media, the masses. So we can't rule out. A lot of people say the internet is really coming along strong, which it is, but don't rule out TV and radio quite yet, because it still does a good job of getting people at least interested to start with. But then you want to integrate the word of mouth and the traditional, and basically you have to do a lot of planning to do that. It's not something that just happens, but you want to execute it and have a comprehensive, effective measurement tools in place, so that you then can see what is the effect and how is it basically working for you. Now, how do we plan a campaign? Well, obviously, you set goals and objectives. So that, obviously, this means that you have lead time. You define your target audience. In other words, who do you want to be getting that information? You're not thinking of the influencers yet, but you just think of who the target is going to be for that campaign. You get an idea. What kind of offer are you going to be making? What's the buzz going to be about? How legitimate is it going to be? You plan and develop the message that will travel, and then you plan and develop the traditional online advertising campaign. Now, when you're planning a campaign, then you have to, within that target arena, you have to find the influencers. Now, finding the influencers is really important. We found out that actually, if you look at the influencers, let's just talk about the influencers for a moment. In the blogosphere, for example, you have about 10% of the influencers are basically influencers that are very powerful and have huge networks. That's 10%. That's a really small percentage. So the key that we believe, and again, a lot of people don't necessarily, this is our particular strategy, we believe that you don't only target that 10%. There's 90% of those influencers out there that are on social sites, social media sites, etc., that don't have huge social networks. They may only have a spouse, a brother, a sister, one or two friends. But if you can mobilize that 90%, your reach is actually bigger than the 10%. So we believe that, you know, you want to motivate and empower the influencers, but don't forget about the 90%. A lot of people are focusing in this particular arena on that 10%. The people that are the diggers, the people that have ranked, they become what we call ranked diggers. Their social network is huge. But if you look at that 90%, that's even more huge, and they may only know 2 or 3 people. But that 90% knowing 2 or 3 people is very, very valuable. Then, obviously, you need to keep the influencers motivated and engaged. So you want to see that you can give them tools to maybe keep the message going, maybe a product that has longer life, and then you want to track and measure all the results. Now, basically, this campaign that we did, this is basically a word-of-mouth campaign that we are presently working with a client of ours. And if you look at the diagram, you can see that there are basically three steps. The first step is obviously getting in front of the influencers, finding them, getting in front of them, and there are several different types of things that you can do. One of the things is to actually give product. You give a product to in our case, we gave it to 50 influencers with the retail value of $200 per. They had a machine to do. I'm not going to talk specifically about the client, but they put an inexpensive business machine in their hands, and they made sure that the people that got these were in fact bloggers, people who would in fact blog, but they also had a couple of other criteria that they had to blog, they had to also take pictures of the product and also a video of the use of this particular product, and they had to be able to put it on Flickr and YouTube. So that was kind of stage 3, is they identified the right audience so that they would get that third result out of it to start in the blogosphere. But there are many ways that they seeded, what we call seeded, this campaign. And using display advertising, pay-per-click, BuzzLogic, where you identify the bloggers. We actually did a widget as well, which is not in this picture, but a widget is a Facebook application that we actually put on there to get the buzz created. So the buzz is created, we selected the 50 influencers, and then we let the 50 influencers do their thing, whether they had a good experience or bad experience, and we obviously hope that they had a good experience. We see that they did. Because it's a really good way of getting this particular product out to market. And so it was a very, effective campaign. So basically, what I tried to walk you through is the logic behind starting, thinking about word of mouth as a marketing strategy online, and finally, thinking about how to really execute and deliver a campaign that you could actually use with a client. So I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Thank you so much, and stay tuned for more. Louise Rijk signing off for Advanced Media Productions.